Can you lift that stack and just hold it on top of the other stack for just a minute? So people can see. Now, is that all of it?
Yeah.
All of this. Oh my God, all of this. Just because CPS wants to steal the children.
Danny McGowan.
All family members to him.
Danny McGowan.
Danny, when did they take your first kids from your family group?
9/22/14.
And you have a document here, County Center Plaza, Monterey Park. Is that the Edelman Center?
Yes, it is. Los Angeles.
And this is dated, this is the document you filed October 27, 2014. Is that correct?
Yes, it's stamped received, but so it was never actually filed. Just received by the clerk.
And it's in regards to your son Presley, an Anthony, a Sierra, a Daniel, a Kirsten.
Yes, it is. 5 children.
5 children. And they wouldn't let any of this on the record. Your own attorney gave it back to you and said you can't get this on the record?
Exactly. He literally, I had to stalk him at his office in the dependency court because he wouldn't answer calls or anything. I finally got a hold of him. Walking back to his vehicle with him, he pulls these out of his briefcase and says, these documents aren't good in this courtroom. They'll be good in a civil case, but not in this courtroom.
What's that attorney?
Michael Lee. I'm sorry, Martin Lee.
Martin Lee.
Yes, it is.
Has anybody ever told you Martin Lee gave you a crock of shit?
Yes. Yes, many people have.
So did you try to fire Martin Lee, your attorney, the court wants you to keep so they can railroad you?
Yes, I did. I asked for a Marston hearing to get a different attorney, that he wouldn't cross-examine anyone, that he wouldn't meet with me, he wouldn't strategize with me. And the judge denied that request and said that I've known Martin Lee for a long time. I think he's a good attorney and he would do a good job for me.
So is it a fair statement, Danny, that your own attorney is selling you out with the blessing and the cooperation of the judge?
100%.
So does this qualify in your mind as a RICO action by the judge and your attorney, Martin Lee?
Yes, definitely. Conspiracy
And
to...
what's the name of this judge that's engaged in cooperating in a RICO violation?
Yes, Akimi Arakaki. She was appointed by Arnold Schwarzenegger. She's a district attorney previously to being appointed.
Well, doesn't that give him a conflict of interest because he worked for the county that also employs CPS?
Yes, yes it does. It is a conflict to have any attorney acting as a judge, in my belief.
And did Martin Lee raise this issue that, hey, the judge is a former DA, so he's already been on the side of CPS many times. Did anybody, your attorney Lee or anybody raise that issue?
No.
Did you try?
No. I wasn't aware that, I understand most judges are attorneys, but I wasn't aware that it's an actual conflict of interest.
If they had a working relationship with any member of the CPS crew, whether it's the one on your case or not, they're part of the same system that's screwing you out of your own children and your family members.
She was actually a lawyer for criminal matters as opposed to children dependency issues prior to becoming a child dependency judge.
Okay, and so they won't let your evidence get on the record, but they'll let everything, your own attorney will let everything the CPS wants on the record get on, but nothing you put on there.
Nothing.
Does that seem fair to you?
Oh, of course not.
Is this the Article 3 court spoken of in the Constitution?
Yes, it is.
No, I don't think it is, Danny. I think these are kangaroo courts, just like the one Michael Jackson had. And we're out here at Neverland right now as people are gathering to leave mementos for his 58th birthday. Michael also had a kangaroo court in the judge that he had there. And the difference is Michael had the best attorneys you could get, ones that wouldn't sell you out, named Thomas Mesro and Susan Yu. But Danny can't afford Thomas Mesro. So we need a justice that's common law type. And his evidence should have got on the record, even in this case, even in this specific part of the case. What part of the case is this referring to?
This is referring to the removal order, the first petition. It's all fabricated. It's based on perjury, fraud, and manufactured evidence to take the children, literally steal them.
And you've got a stack of documents here that you filed and appeals. And one judge, what's the name of the judge that told you not to talk about anything, that you had to keep quiet while they screwed you out of your family members?
Yes, his name is Stephen Marpet. I think he's been a dependency lawyer for 25 years. And prior to him receiving the case, it was requested in 5 other courtrooms for them to hear this case, to grant a restraining order against my speaking out. And no other courtroom would take it, but they finally, Marpet did, and he did grant the restraining order without any cross-examination of the social workers who were claiming that they were being harassed or stalked or whatever.
So did Judge Stephen Marpet, was he specific about what part of your family law case he doesn't want you to let anybody know about?
The case, he stated the case in its entirety about, and especially identifying the victims, identifying the social workers, and sharing with social media what they've done.
I mean, that's like a Nazi judge saying, hey, we're going to send you to a concentration camp, but we don't want to let anybody know we're sending you to a concentration camp, so don't tell anybody.
Exactly.
Because when they take your kids, you're basically in a new kind of world without the kids.
Basically, with this restraining order they were trying to put on me in a civil court, which I understand is not correct, there was 2 cases. We heard one for my son. That was granted. Immediately, they were going to hear the next case. County counsel said that I am not a party to the second case. And the second case is for 3 other children. So I wasn't even allowed to be present in the second restraining order granting against me.
How could they do that, not let you be present in something that's specifically about you?
It's in appeal right now as we speak. It just shows the depravity of the depths they'll go to deprive you.
And this was done in that dungeon they call Edelman's Court.
Yes, it was.
This is the same place I watched several mothers be stripped of their kids auctioned off, and they were told to shut up. And they were told I couldn't be in the courtroom, even when their own procedure says the defendant has a right to have a relative or a close friend with them in there. And then CPS was objecting because I was seeing all the CPS people. They had like 5 or 6 people who were just being trained to be conditioned to this is how you treat people badly when you take the kids. And there was no objection to them having all these wannabe CPS people in there. But they objected to me being there because I had an inkling of what was going on and the crimes being committed by the court. One was this gal, she's dead now. She literally died because they injected her. In fact, the health police injected her with a needle in the breast that gave her cancer and killed her. And we've never had time to fully do that show. The other one was a gal who joined the military to get away from her abusive, child molesting husband, who was also a school teacher in the Santa Ana School District. And my video of that was up until they threatened to take away her military retirement pension if it didn't disappear off of YouTube. This is how criminals operate. They make you shut up, then they slap the chains on, and they tell you you've had a fair trial. If he can't get his evidence at least recorded in the record of this case, even the civil case, even the criminal case, it's not for them, it's for a jury to decide. And they haven't given him a jury, have they?
Of course not. Children dependencies, they do not allow jury trials. Everything is done by a judge, which is actually a commissioner. So.
Yeah, often it's not even a real judge. So they don't have to post a bond, so you can't sue and collect on their bond because they don't have one. They're commissioners, and when they behave like they're supposed to behave, being a really bad law-breaking commissioner, then they promote them to being a full-fledged judge so they can get their pension. This is a system that needs to be put under a RICO statute, and these judges, including what's his name?
Akimi Arakaki, Martin Lee, the dependency lawyer.
And the other one that said shut up about your case?
Yes, Stephen Marpet.
These guys need to be indicted under RICO actions. They've been getting away with this crime on the bench with the cooperation of the Bar Association attorney, which in his case is Martin Lee. And this shouldn't be happening in America. This is exactly the kind of stuff you would expect in the bad old Soviet Union or in Nazi Germany. I'm William Wagener with Danny Gowan. Anything else you want to tell us, Danny?
Yes, basically the social worker that originally took the kids, there was two of them, but one of them in my criminal case, he was speaking to the district attorney. It was a misdemeanor. They said I delayed an investigation while they threw me in jail, took all my kids, and made up a case. During that criminal case, he was in the lobby talking to the district attorney. The district attorney wanted to know why he took the children. And I heard him specifically say he did not remember. DA said, I'm the boss here. I think it's important. The city attorney thinks it's important. Why did you take his children? And he again said, I don't remember. You have to subpoena that information from his department. This is a systematic social worker that has done this before, and he's done it in another case. In the exact same courtroom, he was cross-examined in front of Akimi Arakaki, asked again why he took this other woman's children, and his response was he did not remember. And she got her kids back. Had my dependency lawyer put that social worker on the stand, I feel he would have done the exact same thing, because his removal order with the statement of cause was just all fabricated and all predated to the actual date. It was signed like 4 days prior to the actual date they took the children.
4 days prior to the time they took the children on an emergency? All these are emergency orders. Otherwise, you would have had a hearing before it. Did you have a hearing before it?
No, I didn't. Basically, the removal order, nothing on there is in the first petition. That's where they used another social worker to make a claim that a house was dirty and a 4-year-old was being hit in the chest as a statement. That was the first petition. Nothing on the first petition has to do with the removal order or the statement of cause.
Wow, 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 wow. We need a RICO action against these judges and Martin Lee, his attorney, which he tried to fire, and the judge wouldn't let him, even in a Marsden motion, which is closed to everybody but the attorney and the client, where he gets to say why this guy should not be his attorney. The judge ruled against him. This is exactly what you call express train to Auschwitz. Do not stop, do not ask questions, go quickly to your death. That's what they're doing. And they'll keep it on appeal and drag it out for years, and then they'll say, well, the kids have been put in a new foster home and adopted out, and now they're adjusted to their new home, and it would be traumatic to take them away and put them back with their real family member, Danny Gowan. This is crime going on in the courts, by the courts, in William Wagener's opinion. Anything else you want to say, Danny?
Yes, basically, it's the police officers were involved as well. LAPD, a very ruthless watch commander, basically threw me in jail and made up everything as they went along. So the case is really all over the place, and that's why they put so much pressure on me, because there was officers involved. It involved false arrest, false imprisonment, kidnapping, child endangerment, child endangerment, child endangerment. And every time I went to court, anytime I tried to enter the courtroom, I was confronted by 3 officers, taken in a private room. I did everything but take my pants down as they were searching me for any type of recording device, anything that would record anything. And this happened every time I went to court. And so it was abuse there. And so that's why there was so much on the line, was because there's about 6 officers that were involved in the false arrest, false imprisonment, taking of the children, giving them to CPS without. I wasn't served a removal order. I didn't know why they took the kids for 3 days until I went to court. And the first court petition was the house is filthy with mildew, and a 4-year-old supposedly said they got hit in the chest. A ridiculous petition. And after that petition, it just snowballed into multiple different petitions and dropping the charges. So it just bounced every which way. We didn't have a disposition on a jurisdiction for 7 months. 7 months we didn't have a disposition, and there was supposedly a jurisdiction. They claimed allegations were sustained towards the end of the case, about June of 15, when they finally, June of 2015, they had a disposition hearing, as well as another jurisdiction. Basically, it appears that they wanted the criminal matter to be completed first prior to them making a disposition, because the criminal matter was holding everything up. Because I was pro se in that criminal matter, and I was subpoenaing the officers, and we did have them commit perjury on the stand, and we did have a district attorney knowingly put another social worker, when he couldn't use the lying one that didn't remember why he took the kids, he switched, got another social worker, and used her. He switched, got another social worker, he switched, got another social worker. And this is systematic. We have another case that's virtually identical, and that's the one I mentioned earlier, where the woman did get her kids back because the social worker could not remember why he took them. This is a 20-year social worker. His name's Ramal Rush. He's just very vile. But
Is Ramal Rush a career kidnapper?
Yes, he's serial prolific child abuser. The baby, the 1-year-old that was taken, she was fine. She was given to him at the station. And once he took her to the first foster home, she was having trouble breathing. We do not know what he did to her. Also, there's also they said she came down with a full-blown Rosella virus, but the court papers don't show that. It's just very heinous what they did. Everything was violated. Visitation was violated. The abuse, they separated all the kids, isolated them, alienated them. Every bad thing that you can imagine has been done in this case against me and my family. And we still have an internal affairs investigation open. It's going to be a year. We understand once that year is up, they're not going to be able to reprimand the officers for perjury, for false arrest, false imprisonment, kidnapping. So there just appears to be letting that expire.
Wow. This is why we need We the People grand juries to indict these officers, indict Mr. Rush. We need 25-person We the People under 504 U.S. 36, which the majority opinion was written by Supreme Court Justice Scalia, Antoine Scalia, who recently departed. But he wrote this majority opinion that we the people, not the courts, can appoint our own grand jury. We can form our own grand jury. The case number is a 1992 case called U.S. versus Williams. It's found at 504 U.S. 36, and we should be forming our own 25-person grand juries in every county, not just L.A. County, but in every county, and we should be indicting people like Martin Lee, the two judges he mentioned, the CPS officer Rush and the other one, and the CPS officer caught lying, committing perjury, and then had to be switched out and have another CPS officer come in to commit perjury.
Her name, real quick, her name is Rachel Richards. The DA was having trouble because we proved with phone records that all the kids were in custody before 9 p.m. And the DA specifically went out, got that lying Rachel Richards, put her back on the stand in the criminal matter, and had her say that she was at McDonald's to get the kids at 12 o'clock midnight, which is completely erroneous.
Wow. So there you have it. I'm William Wagener for On Second Thought. I hope we've given you second thoughts. It's time we take back America, because the police are not going to do it for us. The district attorneys are not going to do for it. We, the people, will have to restore the Constitution and common law and form our own grand juries, because these kangaroo grand juries that they're using, led around by the nose by a district attorney who's in cahoots in a RICO action. They're performing RICO violations. They're all a team in a system to destroy families and destroy relationships. I'm William Wagener. One last word? Go
awesome,
ahead, Danny.
please. Thank you. Yes, LAPD needs to be held accountable. They the district attorney is working with them. Basically, the officers are social workers. They're getting away with criminal acts, and they're getting away with them in my case. We have a senior lead officer, Kurt Cahoe. His wife was on the phone the day that I was arrested falsely and my children were taken, saying that he had to go change a police report because they had to switch out the arresting officer. And she asked why he had to do that, and he said, because it has to be done right. And these are senior officers of the LAPD, and it's just exposed that she was being beat by him, abused by him. She shared that with us. He specifically had a social worker with him.
Who was beating who, Danny?
Yes, Kurt Cahoe was beating his wife for 2 years. This is the officer that falsely arrested me. And she was on the phone with him that evening that I was arrested. She knows his mentality. She knows what he's capable of. He specifically said to her that he needed to change the police report to make it right. So that's part of the internal affairs investigation, but it appears they're just going to let these officers come right back on the force. Basically, in my case, the day they took my children, threw me in jail at 8:15 p.m., 9/22/14. At 11 o'clock at night, they're breaking into my house, saying it's dirty, and claiming to be looking for kids that they already had in custody. And at that time, we have phone records from the officer's wife, Kurt Cahoe, that show that he contacted the commanding officer, Chamberlain, and clearly they were all in cahoots. And Chamberlain had just been transferred there from Central LAPD Division, and he, because of a racial incident where he was allowing racism against another officer to go on, they transferred him to Mission Hills. So that's where he's at now, and I understand he's going to be the one adjudicating over the 5 officers for what they did to me. And that involves kidnapping, false arrest, perjury, manufacturing, tampering with evidence, home invasion, 2 home invasions. I never got a search warrant for the first home invasion that was done 10 days prior to 9/22/14. They never gave me any search warrant. It just said that they were looking for kids, but didn't say why or anything. So it's just anything goes. That's all I can tell you. Anything goes with the system, and it's a very scary place to be for anybody once they target you based on false and malicious allegations.
Danny, it sounds like they knew you were an activist against the criminals of CPS before this, and that's why they targeted you. Does that seem appropriate to say?
Oh, most definitely, because prior to taking to these 5 children, Riverside County had taken 2 relatives from me, Raylene Cejudo and Gus Cejudo, who were family placements with me. I caught her taking them. A social worker took them, Christina Hernandez of Moreno Valley, caught her on audio tape, making up her reasons. And then 2 years later, when they're trying to seal over the case to close it, the adoptive mother makes a false allegation against me and started the whole investigation that led to the kidnapping of my 5 other children. But basically, I had at one time from Riverside County, I had 5 kids placed with me. They took 2 falsely. I complained. They never took the other 3. Said I put 2 in imminent danger, left the other 3. So that's how crazy the case is. I tried to do as best I could with recording, with documenting. So we have hours and hours of audio tape of the crimes that these people are committing.